Hi there.
Hello.
Hello. What is up?
I don't know. We usually don't do it like this.
We don't. We're bouncing. That's what we do.
We're trying new things because this is our 46th episode.
Crazy.
That's insane.
That nuts. Yes. Remember when we started and we were doing audio calls and I was freaked. We started doing audio calls because I didn't realize that we could have a video call, see the other person, and just grab the audio from there. So
we've advanced.
We've advanced. You're watching this video, and so we're doing our first few interviews with Aaron De Jesus and Nick Dramard, and I'm like, how is this? What is going on? But here we
were being audio snobs in a way, but audio is king or queen, as we all learn, and especially with audio, also music, which is the cornerstone of everything that we talk about on this show. Exactly. So what is this show?
I think it's something Oink, Silhouettes JV podcast, the deepest dive into Jersey boys you have ever taken, you ever will take, you ever have taken, taketh, Shakespeare, right?
All the things.
I'm David.
And I'm Gia. Yes,
and
welcome back. We're so excited. And we might have some new people listening or watching this episode today because we are switching gears here in the most needed and perfect way. And I'm very excited because for the past 45 episodes, we've been talking about Jersey Boys, of course, the musical about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. But now we're finding out who those four seasons really are/were in real life.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. And so now, in the early, in the 2000s, there was this group of guys and they were traveling with Frankie Valli. There were four of them. Yeah. 4 seasons. They were traveling as the seasons with Frankie all over the world. And we have one of them here with you today. They have since formed their own group called the Modern Gentlemen.
You might have heard of them.
TMG. And we have with us in the Zoom studio one of the founding members. We have Brian Brigham. Brian, his brother Brandon Brigham, Landon Beard, and Todd Fournier were selected as a quartet by Frankie Valli himself. Frankie said, these guys, they're truly special. They're the best singers I've ever worked with, best in the biz. So
in a higher octave, of course.
Right.
I would think. I would think. And as the Four Seasons and the Modern Gentlemen, they've sold out the Royal Albert Hall and BBC Proms in the Park in London, England, and stadiums and theaters in Israel, Canada, Italy, Australia, New Zealand, everywhere. It's unbelievable. And they were recently featured on the PBS special Doo-Wop Generations, which aired across the country in 2018. So it doesn't seem too long ago because of COVID, of course.
PBS doc.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, and they were on the screen. They shared the stage with the modern iterations of the Drifters and the Duprees and all these groups that have been alive for years and years and years. And they've also shared the stage with
my favorite, the Beach Boys. Brian, when you come on, I can't wait to ask you about this. And
Sheena Easton. And my favorite, the Manhattan Transfer. You guys might know the Manhattan Transfer from Travis Clower. Travis Clower, who was Frankie Valli in Las Vegas extraordinaire, he sang their arrangement of A Nightingale Sang in Berkeley Square. It's 4 voices. He did them all himself. He's a fucking genius. Go listen to that. And many other notable artists that they have shared the stage with. You can purchase or stream their music wherever you can find them, including their Christmas album, You Make It Feel Like Christmas.
As I grab my hat.
Yes. And if you get the deluxe version of You Make It Feel Like Christmas, you will be able to sing along with their instrumental versions of the songs.
Who's excited? It's amazing.
Who is excited, baby?
Yay! A little more background on Brian specifically. So he was, of course, founding member of the Modern Gentlemen, and he's no stranger to doo-wop and jazz and rock and roll, the music that brings us all here today. And nor is he a stranger to really tight harmonies. That's what we're here to really dive into today. That's David's favorite, and I've been learning about it for the past year and a half.
Also, this is when I was in choir, this is what my music teacher would be like to go this really tight.
This is tight. Okay,
like this. I don't know why, but this is it.
Yeah, she's also from West Covina, California. If you know West Covina, that is the home of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Totally not related, but I had to bring that up anyway because that's a musical TV show and it's fun. Show. And so he actually focused on sports. And he joined choir when he was in elementary school because the choir director promised him a trip to Disneyland at the end of the year. That's how a lot of us seem to get into the arts.
That's how you do it. And now he's at the top of his game, touring the world, and has an extensive background in musical theater and music, having performed in Greece, in the touring company of Saturday Night Fever, and Jesus Christ Superstar, featuring Ted Neely, original Ted Neely, and Yvonne Elliman, and also star
Jack
Black.
Love Jack Black.
And like Frankie, the Modern Gentlemen are all over the fucking map. So go to themoderngentleman.net to see when the Modern Gentleman will be in a town or a city near you.
It's been a day. Yes. So now please welcome one of the founding members of the Modern Gentlemen, Brian Brigham, into the Zoom studio.
Here we go, Brian. We're gonna bring you back. Here we go.
Hey, everybody.
Hey. Yeah.
Thank
Hey,
you.
How's everybody doing?
With that long intro.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks for the intro. That was nice.
Oh, of course. We're here to build you up and up and up and up and up and up till you reach the sky, and then we just go further.
Yep. Well, that's what you do with your music. Yes.
Yeah,
so we can't wait to learn more about you, Brian.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and you're in California right now?
I am. Yeah. It got a little chilly today, so it's like, hit 60. So it's yeah.
All right. Big Burr. Yeah.
Got chilly for
yeah.
you.
I can't complain.
Got chilly for us too.
What is it? Got chilly?
No.
What'd you say?
Got
chilly?
It got chilly for you. Got chilly for us too.
Yes, it did. Yeah, it's December. Thank God. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been warmer than usual, which
global
is
warming, people.
Yeah, but that's another kind of podcast. So if we could talk about your early years, that's how we like to describe everything, just like in Jersey Boys at the beginning in spring.
The early years.
So what was your beginning of your first act like when you transitioned from sports into music? What was that like?
Well, like you said, I was in junior high, so middle school, around like, 6th, 7th grade or something. So the teacher came around, but he was forming like a boys choir. So, like when you're young, sometimes it's not always cool to be in the choir, but he went into all the school, all the classes, and got all of us that were in sports. So like everybody on my baseball team basically joined to go to Disneyland. And it was cool. I got right into it. I was really shy, especially that young, but that definitely helped pull me out of my shell and, be accepted. And I was actually, it was the right thing to do. It was a lot of fun, and it was the better career move for me than playing baseball. So
not to jump off the deep end right away here, but I have a question. Sure. Do you think shyness like ever really truly completely goes away?
No, I'm still, I think inside I'm shy, or I get nervous about things. Like it's weird. I'm more comfortable, say, in front of 10,000 people than 10. It's odd, but I don't know if that's what you're asking, but that's how I feel.
How it manifests in like different ways, because I kind of feel the same way too. Like it took me a while to get into the whole, singing in front of like a group of 10 people too, to get comfortable with that. But it's fun. Do you watch the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a great show. I think I think you would totally like it. And so Rachel Brosnahan plays this woman who, she gets her husband
into stand-up. Yeah,
she gets thrust into stand-up in the most horrible way. Her husband cheats on her, and then she's just naturally funny. She's just talking about her life, so she becomes that kind of comedian where she, stream of consciousness comedian. And then she's about to go on tour with this, big jazz singer. And she writes a Dear John letter breaking up with her current boyfriend. And so they're having a really intimate scene together, like, hey, he's confronting her, and she's like, I can stand in front of 10,000 people and talk about my life, my failures, my parents' failures, but I couldn't even, just talk to you. I think about that a lot. I was also a very shy kid, and I think I had kind of the same experience as you, where theater and music and, singing in choir and singing solos really did bring me out of my shell, but I still feel like I get very, very shy, and I don't think it ever truly really goes away. And I just find that fascinating. I just wanted to hear your thoughts.
Well, maybe it shouldn't always go away, because if it does, if you get those butterflies, they call it, I think if those go away, some of that is is like a thrill for me too. So if that's gone, where's the thrill sometimes? So I do think it's good to have that.
Yeah, do you ever feel like it hinders you? And I'm sorry, I'm going on and on and
No,
on
this is
about this,
great.
but
No,
I feel
no,
like this is
please. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I get very shy, especially when it comes to networking. You know, we saw Des McAnuff at the reopening of Jersey Boys off Broadway. Des McAnuff, he's the one, of course, who directed Jersey Boys, and I was like, I'm really good at spotting people, but Gia will be like, okay, well, let's go talk to them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, but like this, of course, it's so important to network, but I just get so shy. And I'm like, oh, I'll follow your lead, you know? And so people find that surprising about me, but I do get very shy. And I feel like sometimes it might hinder some opportunities for me that are like standing right in front of me, quite literally sometimes. So I'm wondering if it ever affects you like that.
Sometimes, I mean, as far as networking, I'm actually okay with that. But like say auditioning, I don't think I audition very well, but yeah, those type of things where you have to be kind of exposed and just, you know, kind of do what you're doing. But I can relate. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for indulging me
Yes,
on
thank
this.
you.
Again,
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
sorry.
Yeah.
No, of course. And thank you for saying
Yeah.
that as the older you get and the more like credibility you get in your field, you still do need to have those butterflies. And I feel like that's something that even like David and I, like he's 26 and 25, like I even get that sometimes I just get bored because what I'm doing. And that's not good. Like we need to find ways to keep that spark going all the time. It depends on
Absolutely.
what it is.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just a sign of what we should and shouldn't be doing. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely
Yeah.
something. But speaking of auditions, did you go to college for music and did you have to audition for any programs?
I did, yeah. So after the middle school, we all kind of went into show choir, as you do, which was a great program. And from there, some of the older students went to this college program that was just right up the street from where we all lived, and it was a great program. It's kind of similar to the Young Americans, if you know that program at all, where it's you go into school and you learn how to dance, sing, act, and it's basically like a 3-year kind of program. And it was great. So many people that were there before me and then after me have gone on to TV and film and Broadway and those sorts of things. And it was a wonderful place to kind of just work on your craft and learn kind of what you're good at, what you're not, and fix those things. And so I went to that program and did 3 years. And 1 year it was more like into choral singing. So we would go to Europe and we'd sing in cathedrals and all over and like legit choir. Like, so we got to travel all over at 18 years old. It was incredible. And then the next year we'd go to Hawaii and sing all pop music. And so you had a well-rounded kind of experience of music. So I think that definitely prepared us all for, you know, going out and being professional performers or teachers. It was great.
Yeah. What an opportunity.
Yeah.
Did you and your brother do it together?
Yeah, he kind of followed. He's my younger brother, so he, you know, younger brothers usually or most of the time follow the older brother and kind of just you know, went with me and just kind of followed my lead. And yeah, same kind of trajectory pretty much. From there, after school we just went to Disneyland, which is like the most obvious place to work when you're in Southern California. It's like being in college, but except for getting a paycheck now. So
exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So we all did that, and that's kind of how I started meeting the guys, and led to how we got into with Frankie.
That's awesome. So did you and you and Brandon auditioned together for the Four Seasons?
Yeah, initially we did. There was kind of like, I don't know, maybe like 30 guys at the time. We were singing at Disneyland together in an a cappella group. Because Brandon and I have always sung together in groups and different things and different like bands and that sort of thing. So we all kind of were working together at Disney, and there was a guy in the group that was singing with Frankie already, a friend of ours. And this is like, gosh, 2002, I think it was. And he's like, I'm leaving this. I'm singing with this old guy. You know, and this is before Jersey Boys. So like, you know, I knew his music, but I didn't have the whole, like, you know, the whole map of everything he's done. I kind of, you know, I grew up with his music and I've sung his songs, but I didn't know every single thing, you know, all the songs he's done. So he was like, I'm leaving because we don't do many shows and I have to get another job. But I know there's another guy leaving too. So there's 2 spots that are opening up. And we're like, all right, we're just kids working at Disney. So that kind of spread. It was just word of mouth. So it wasn't like a giant cattle call or anything like that you would see, you know, like auditioning for, you know, a musical or anything like that, but it was word of mouth. So we got there was probably 30 guys or something like that. And, you know, rehearsal studio, and yeah.
Wow.
But was it an open call? I mean, okay, you said it was word of mouth. So there wasn't a notice. It wasn't like, hey, come, you want to be are you into spring,
No.
summer, winter, and fall? You know, are you into seasons?
Yeah.
It wasn't like that.
No, it was like just a word of mouth thing where, you know, I guess apparently Frankie, the music director, was just asking internally, like, hey, who do you know that would be right for this type of thing?
Wow.
And that's kind of how it's always been, even, you know, years later.
Right.
It's still word of mouth. Like, you bring in who you want, because we're a band, you know, you're a family, you're traveling. So you want to bring in people that you know and trust and have that harmony. And so I think that's how it started then.
Literally.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
literally.
I have to ask. So the guy that your friend that you replaced, he was like, I'm singing with this old guy. Is that what he said?
Yeah, I'm singing with this old guy. You probably never heard of him, Frankie Valli. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, Grease or whatever. That's my first thought, because I grew up watching Grease and all that stuff. So I knew who he was, but I couldn't remember like what he looked like. So I remember going to the audition, and there was like an older guy there. I'm like, hey dude, is that Frankie? I had no idea like what he looked like or anything, you know. Yeah.
Because
So
him and Carole King, their impact is very similar, because there's an interview of Jared Spector, who was one of the, you know, long-running Frankie Vallis on Broadway and on tour and all over the place. In an early interview, he was like, oh yeah, you know, like when I started doing the show, like I knew all the songs, but I didn't know that, you know, one group or like one guy had written them. You know, it's like Carole King is kind of like the same way. It's almost like they were snubbed by the public, because they've been covered by so many different people. And, you know, if you don't actually, you know, go to Google. I mean, and of course there wasn't Google for a very, very long time. But you don't go to Google and be like, oh, what's that song on TikTok I hear? I love you, baby. And if it's like a big song on TikTok, can't take my eyes off of you. But it's called Illy.
Yeah. I-O-Y.
It's so weird.
It's so weird. And then like Shawn Mendes covered it also. And so it's
and the new Beggin' with Mainskin.
The new Beggin' with Mainskin, and like before that, like Madcon. So it's just so, and they didn't. The group didn't even win their first Grammy, and Gia realized this. The group didn't even win their first Grammy until Jersey Boys.
Yeah, isn't that insane?
I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I remember that. I remember like Gaudio going there, getting the Grammy. I'm like, they've never won a Grammy. This is what's the world like we're living in right now? This is crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, their music transcends who they are individually almost. It's so weird.
Did you guys ever audition for Jersey Boys?
A few of us have over the years, and that's kind of, you know, like I said, when I came in, there was only 2 spots open. A couple other guys were singing with Frankie and decided hey, you know, they wanted to do the musical, or like one guy opened Vegas and did that for a number of years.
Noah Rivera, right?
Yeah, we've known Noah, and he was, I think, like a swing or something. He came in after we decided to leave the group and stuff. Exactly. But yeah, there's Jason Martinez.
Jason Martinez. Oh, yeah. I didn't know
for a while. Yeah, no, he was in the group before I joined, like in 2002. So he came in, and you know, it was kind of like a revolving door back then, because you know, before Jersey Boys happened, he was kind of like, you know, on the downturn of his career.
It's
so
true.
But it was so much fun. I mean, we were like on the road with several acts, so it wasn't just like him in concert, that's it. But for me, it was like some of the most fun times. But yeah, like, so Jason left, and for a while Jason's brother was in the group, so it was my brother and Jason's brother Val. It was like the 4 brothers. It was funny.
Nice.
So there was a revolving door of us for a long time. So yeah, there's been a lot of seasons.
Isn't that a line in Jersey Boys, a revolving door around this place?
Yeah.
Was that
that's what I so at the Brill building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so where you were in California was basically like the Brill building, just the West Coast version.
Literally the West Coast.
Oh yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So
when you were studying music and theater and everything, did you learn music theory and how to read and all that?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I did. I wasn't very good at it initially, but as I got into my professional career, I started doing like recording sessions and things of that nature. And I quickly learned that I needed to really kind of like brushing up on those type of skills. So, because occasionally I do like the movie scores where you hear the
Yeah.
oohs and the ahs and all those things behind the scenes. And so I do a lot of that, as well
Wow.
as different like recordings. And so I really had to study and kind of relearn all that again. So I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so you I saw that you sang like at Disney Animation Studios, and also you were on American Idol
As a
as the
background
Yeah,
vocalist.
yeah.
So did you like, was that a requirement to work at those two places?
It's not necessarily a requirement, like, because some people have really good ears and they can pick it up really quick, but it does help. But it's part of that world that I was in. So like you would get called by what they call vocal contractors. So they would call you if they have a session for, like, say The Voice. They were putting together like a little choir that you would back up whoever is like the top 12 or whoever. They break it down, the budget gets a little bit bigger, so they kind of bring in like the support groups behind them to kind of do things. And so you have to really learn quickly on the fly, or here's some music, sight read it here, stuff like that. So
Okay. Yeah. How competitive is it to be like a working vocal contractor?
A session singer.
Yeah.
It's really competitive, and it's a really hard business, to be honest. It's a great, if you're in, but it's kind of like you have to know them. You have to obviously you have to sing well, you have to read music well, be a kind human being, and just kind of really be available when they call, because a lot of times they would think I'm always out of town, but you have to kind of keep it in their face and be like, hey, I'm in town, I'm out on tour right now. And that's a challenge that I found kind of going through that process, especially when I was with Frankie and I was gone like every weekend. They just assume you're gone, so you kind of lose those in-town jobs which pay like really well and you want to be a part of. So
like, hey, still here.
It's hard.
I'm in town.
Yeah, I'm here. Like call a brother up, So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like so Gia really got me into The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So I'm always thinking about it. I also just finished rewatching it again. But so like there's a whole, and like the second to last episode of the third season, there's like a whole episode where she's just going from it takes place in the 60s. It takes place in the 60s. So she's
the 60s, man.
Yeah,
That's a
oh
cool.
right, yeah. So she's going from she does a lot of radio commercials. So she's just going from gig to gig to gig to gig to gig to gig. I feel like that's a lot of what session playing and session singing is like. It's just going from gig to gig to gig and just keeping those, because you also have to, I feel like you really also have to have a wide range in, like, you have to have a wide vocal range, because sometimes I notice that a lot in your guys's repertoire, that sometimes you'll be singing the lower, the baritone and the bass parts, and sometimes you'll be singing the tenor and the lead parts. So it's like, especially for session singers, you have to have such a wide vocal range, and you have to be able to sing like it's like the equivalent of like Broadway pit players. You just have to be able to play anything, sing anything in any style, in any key, be able to transpose, be able to, like, oh yeah, we gave you the sheet music in the wrong key. Let's transpose everything a half step up. I call it kamikaze sight reading.
It's hard. Yeah, I just did a movie for Christmas, and on top of all that, you have to sometimes match the actor on TV, and voice match to, like, if you're like playing a voice.
You were singing for someone lip syncing.
Yeah. So I just did that for
so
a holiday movie that's out right now. Love Hard on Netflix. So
we have to watch the movie. You did the vocals for that?
Who are you singing for?
Well, he oh, whatever. Harry Sheen Jr. from Glee. Yeah. Harry,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, so
I'm like thinking,
that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
I'm like, he's very vocal about how he doesn't sing. I mean, he did that whole thing on Glee with the girl who plays Tina. I forget her name. Where you know the song. I don't know what the name of the song is, from a chorus line. Sing and sing and sing. So they did that whole song. So he's very vocal about how he doesn't sing. So that's okay. But wow. That's so cool.
So like they were, I had to kind of like, they were like, well, can you sound like him? Send a demo. I did. They're like, okay, you're perfect. Okay, great. So I did that. I had to follow like kind of what he did. So it's a lot of work. It's a challenge, but I love that kind of stuff. I love being in the studio.
That's
so
honestly, it's so rewarding once you like actually do it, because it's like you think to yourself also, like, damn, I'm good enough to do this. It's like it's rewarding to yourself, and it's rewarding to hear, and it's rewarding to see, but it's like also like makes you feel, I think it makes you feel good about yourself, because it's like,
Like,
hey,
we hope
like,
it does for you.
I'm at the top of my game. I'm able to do this, you know?
I don't feel like that though. Like, cause I know I'm lucky. I feel lucky to be there. I honestly do. Cause there's so many talented people in LA, and especially when I'm in those rooms with other people that I know. Like one guy from Take Six is a session singer, and I'm standing next to him one minute. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing here? I feel like a phony sometimes, but I work hard
Oh
and I
no,
just
I mean, for
try to do my
sure.
thing. But
I mean, imposter
yeah.
syndrome is real.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, I have a question. Are you open to sharing how much a session pays for a session singer?
Well, it depends. Like it depends, because we're in the union, so SAG-AFTRA,
right?
and it kind of depends. Like if you're in a solo group 1 to 4, and it's all online, you can just see what the rates are. I'm not the best at what it exactly is, but like it pays better than being a 4 season.
Really?
Well, some of these guys are, making so much money. It's crazy. Yeah,
no, of course.
But you don't do it all the time. But if you sing on one movie, you're getting residuals like you would being an actor in the film. So yeah, if I could do that, I would do that all the time. Yeah, and it doesn't matter what you look like or any of that sort of thing. So
they're not seeing your face anyway.
No, that's awesome.
You show up in your pajamas. Yeah.
When we read all your bios, you guys have done musicals and have been in shows that really feature hard music and tight singing and high singing. Jesus Christ Superstar is just all the way up there all the time, and even Grease is like really high. And I remember which one of the guys did Aida. So that music's really tight. So like, do you think that your past projects helped you with the tight harmonies that you guys, become, pretty famous for doing so damn well?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's kind of why we were in the group. Now, I would say like 3 of us out of the 4 all had that group kind of harmony experience. I was always singing in groups. Landon was always singing in groups. He was doing studio work too. With his dad, was a session guy as well. But one of our guys he doesn't really read music. So he wasn't really like a part singer. So he really had to come in and really put the work in, which he still does today. Anytime we get music or our parts, like he goes home and listens to it like nonstop. He doesn't read music. So everybody has their own process, but he's like so thorough. But that's what's, I think, unique about our group is we all had that soloistic experience. And then we came together and got thrust together as a quartet and like, let's make this work. And that's kind of, I think, what was different about us, which was unique, I think, to the whole thing.
Yeah, no ego involved.
No, like, and that's the, when we pick songs, it's like, okay, I already know you're gonna, Todd, you'll sound better on this song. You should do this. I'll sing here. If Landon's singing a solo, I know. We just kind of, because we've been working together for so many years that we just kind of automatically, like, it's like muscle memory. So I'll automatically drop low when Landon takes over
the mind melder. Does the way Frankie runs a music rehearsal, is that different from how you guys run a music rehearsal?
The first thing that comes to mind, we're in the studio working on our Sinatra stuff with Artie Schreck, and Artie would write this chart, right? Frankie's like, nah. So we would he would take it line by line and just like change the phrasing, and then I would be in the studio like singing all 4 guys' parts, and then kind of experimenting with him, and then our music director would kind of reel him back a little bit. Okay, well, musically, this has to work in the chord here to make that work. And it would be kind of like a process, if that makes sense. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
That fascinates me because we were listening to that Star Spangled Banner that you guys sang with him. And the phrasing there is just, can you tell us about that specific arrangement? And how that one was crafted?
Yeah, there was a couple versions. I remember we were in Arizona. That was the Fiesta Bowl, I think it was, like in 2007 or 8, 2008.
Eagle flying.
Yeah. Yeah. That was fun. That was so much fun. But Gaudio arranged it, and then gave it to us. And then we had shows like the week prior in Arizona. So we would just like be in our hotel room with Frankie and then our music director and just kind of working out the parts and just kind of, changing it around and kind of be his guinea pig, his vocal guinea pig.
How many times have you seen Jersey?
I remember first time I saw it was with Frankie. It was, I mean, I've seen it on Broadway. I've seen the London cast. I've seen it in Australia. I've seen it in oh my God, where else have I seen it? Yeah, well, twice in London, I think I've seen it. Yeah. And I mean, that was the first time because I've always looked at Frankie kind of like a father figure. I've never looked at him like, oh my God, all this stuff. So for me, it was just kind of like this cool, like old guy that just took us under his wing and was like a mentor, right? Yeah. So when I saw Jersey Boys the first time, I was just like, I was geeking out. I was like, this is wow. And I had a new appreciation for Frankie, and just kept looking over at him like, oh my God. And he's like, it's 75% true.
So was he very nitpicky, and are you kind of the same way now that like it's been a while? I'm
not that way. No. But like our sound checks were like rehearsals, it just, especially when we're in London and we're on tour and we're on these places and you want to go out and see things. It's like every day was like a 3:00 sound check every day of the show. And we're like, okay, let's have a sound check or whatever. But it would be, he'd be working on things. Well, Frankie would love to work on things. He would love to like change all the phrasing. And then, but inevitably at the end of the day, it was going to go right back to what it was.
Was Robbie already working with Frankie? Robbie Robinson already working with Frankie when the guy started?
Oh yeah, so besides Frankie and us, like Robbie's been there the longest. So Robbie's been there for 40. I think he started with him right after Grease hit, so like 43 years.
Wow.
But then he kind of was like a secondary a piano player. He was brought in to kind of shadow a guy and play a little bit, and then he was with him for a lot of years. And then when Frankie took like a little hiatus, I think, I don't know, around the 90s or something like that, he kind of took off and then came back. And then, so besides Robbie and Frankie, we were with him the longest than anybody in the group. So
just for our viewers and listeners, Robbie Robinson is Frankie Valli's current music director and has been with Frankie Valli very, very, very long time.
Yeah.
And do you guys, as the Modern Gentlemen, ever work with Robbie on any of your stuff?
No, we don't. We kind of just we only thing we worked on was when we started the Sinatra project. He would engineer it and help Frankie with the phrasing that was, he was interpreting from Artie. So, but obviously, we haven't worked with him since we left.
But Artie has written a few charts for you guys.
Yeah, he did. He arranged all of our Sinatra stuff. That's kind of what got us into kind of seeing a future for us as a group. So, because Frankie was, we were back, I guess rewinding back to when you asked if any of us were going to try out for Jersey Boys, some of us thought about it, but like around 2007 or so, Frankie, he kind of noticed like our sound together and us kind of our camaraderie and what we have with Frankie and that energy we brought. And I think he started kind of like getting the idea of like, hey, I want to help you guys with a career. So instead of going to Jersey Boys and just being musical or, kind of just following our own path, he was trying to kind of lay the groundwork for us to have a career, which I think is invaluable and special and something that's unique to what we did. So he said, his favorite, of course, his favorite artist growing up was Frank Sinatra. So, but his favorite vocal groups were like the Four Freshmen and the Hi-Lows, and he loves jazz. That's kind of his favorite thing. Like if he could be anything, he would be a jazz singer more than rock and roll. So he said, why don't you guys put these harmonies that I hear you guys can do to Sinatra? And that's kind of how got the ball rolling for us to start our own group and that sort of thing. So Artie, he called up Artie, like he gave us like 10 arrangements for free. And then Frankie did his phrasing that we talked about. And then I was kind of in the studio working on all 4 parts. And then I would record all 4 parts, and then we would send them out to the guys. They would sing, come into the studio and sing. And that project, we did it, and then it kept evolving. But and that's kind of how we left it. And it's just sitting there, and we're like, God, we would love to have this someday. So
and when did you guys record that?
Oh God, like 2008, 2009.
Wow.
And then Artie came in, and like we had I think they used Kenny Nolan's studio, and then who wrote like, what is it, Maya's Adored You or something like that?
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they came in and we recorded it all, and Artie engineered the whole thing and produced the whole thing. And it's just, there's some really great songs in there.
Legends.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
is it?
Yeah, and Artie,
You know what? Artie
But,
Schreck wrote one of my favorite charts for the Four Seasons. I Got You Under My Skin. It is my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
he's so talented. Yeah, we talk to him all the time still. We played in Vegas. He came out to the show and we sang some of the Sinatra tunes. We do those in our show just to
That's
keep them
great.
fresh because they're just, that's kind of unique to us, which we feel there's, very little groups out there that can do that kind of thing. So
The fact that David said that you guys are so accessible, which is so true, because I think we're so lucky in our generation where we can just go on YouTube and we can study the best of the best and we can learn that way. But of course it takes hours and hours to create a 3 to 4 minute song, or even months to do that. And, for me, I'm a writer. So like for me, it's words. For you, it's sounds. So how do you kind of edit now that you guys you are the Modern Gentlemen, you are your own group? Like how long is that editing process? And or do you feel things do come a little bit more naturally to you?
as we evolved, we've brought other people into our team that we trust, like musically, and we're coming out with a new album, for instance, and that this new album that we're doing is kind of a guy that we love. He's also like from the a cappella world. He's done he's a conductor, an arranger, a musician, a singer. He's done stuff for Pentatonics, and so he's going to take us to that, hopefully to that next kind of level that we want to be vocally, where it really, instead of singing thirds and fifths and octaves of things, to really kind of more so kind of what Artie gave us to do. So that's kind of the next process that we've kind of implemented in our sound. So
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The Manhattan. What was it like working with the Manhattan Transfer?
Oh, that was
my
fun.
God,
Like we were on the same bill with Frankie. Yeah. And we were at the Dodge Theater in Phoenix, and Tim Hauser, the original founding member, was alive then. And it was around the time we were doing the Sinatra stuff. So like Frankie and Tim were always on the phone together. Every time I was in the studio with them, they were talking. And they were talking about the show that we were going to come up and do together. And so it was so much fun. I loved that group so much. And I was like in the wings watching the whole time. And then we sang Let's Hang On together, because it was they recorded that version of it. So all I guess 8 of us or 9 of us were on stage singing together, and I'll never forget that. But yeah, I love all those harmonies. We pay homage to them too in our Christmas album. Happy Holidays is basically their arrangement. So, and we kind of made it our own a little bit. So
okay, so just to get the timeline down. So you guys recorded the Sinatra album around 2008, maybe 9. So then when did you officially become the Modern Gentlemen and move on from the group?
I think we started doing shows around I think around 2016 or so, somewhere around there. We were starting to just, so kind of like a lot of time, I guess, let me back up. So 2008, 2007, that's kind of when Frankie was really starting to get really crazy busy, like all the time. Like we went from maybe doing like 30 shows a year to like 80, somewhere around there. So, which is a lot for him. And, but it was not just in the US. That's when we started going to the UK and all those places. So we were busy, and it was just kind of, so we were riding that wave a lot. And then, but it took us a while to kind of get off our butts, in 2015, 2016, we started doing some dates, but it was hard because we didn't have any subs with Frankie. So we had to be at every single show, which is pretty much every weekend. Right. So it was hard to kind of to have our own shows, because Frankie would maybe book something, or if we said we were available for this date, it was hard because we had to be available 100% to Frankie, and that was it. And that's the kind of kind of thing that we had with him. So that was a challenge, right? So we found gigs that worked around his schedule, and we started kind of putting together our show. And that's kind of when we were kind of living 2 worlds, and we were just busy all the time, and it was tough. And it just came to a point where we had to kind of almost take that leap of faith, and because if we had to cancel our dates with TMG, people wouldn't trust us that we'd be available, and it was we had to kind of keep our word on things.
When you guys were first starting out doing shows, did you have that name yet, the Modern Gentlemen?
No, because we were flirting with the idea, because Frankie was with the Sinatra stuff, he was like, we got to get you a name or do something. I don't know what it is.
Find a name and a sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went through all kinds of different names and stuff, but like the Four was a possibility, but we never saw ourselves as becoming like the new Four Seasons or anything like that.
No.
It's nothing we wanted to do, with all respect to them and everything. So we wanted to have something of our own. I think he did too. But you're seeing all these other groups from Jersey Boys and all these other groups that were being put together for musicals, and we're like, we got to get off our butts and do this. We're like, we're the real guys. We weren't put together by musical.
Exactly.
So
we're
like,
the real fucking deal.
Right? Yeah. So, we'd see them on a billboard. We're like, oh man, that's good for them. But, we should be doing that. So it's, that was kind of what really got us in gear, man. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe it's a good time for me to start my own group. And that's.
Oh my God. That's the name of the episode. Oh my God.
That's
Tis
good.
the
That's
season
good.
for starting new groups. Oh, what is your definition of a modern gentleman?
Yes.
Oh, that's a long answer, but I'll try to. It was at that time where you'd hold open a door for a lady, or just manners and those type of things. So we just wanted to be a classy kind of group where we wear suits, and it's kind of just takes you that it's wholesome. So you can be 2 to 92 and come see our show, and it's going to be great for everybody.
I was listening to your guys' version of How Deep Is Your Love by the Bee Gees, which is one of my all-time favorite songs. How do you guys kind of build that when you're building an arrangement?
Well, that song specifically, I had it in my mind because that's the one I chose for the album. Because I actually sang the top line, the top octave. But I sang the first verse and the third. Landon sang the second verse, and we kind of flip flop. But I kind of took the high line because I sang that in Saturday Night Fever the musical. So I did the Tony Manero part, like that all stuff. So I sang the top line there, and I'm like, I kind of like how that rang. So I decided to take that and put that into this song, but then mix it up a little bit. And then, but the challenge is Bee Gees are 3 guys and we had 4. So we kind of said, well, Landon would double me on the lower chorus when I sang the first verse lead prior. And then when he sang the second verse, I dropped down to the bottom and kind of covered it. So
that's
it's hard. Like if you're listening to the album, like it's hard to know sometimes who's singing what, unless you really, really know us, which like even our family's like, Brian, who the hell's singing like the first verse or second verse? Like I need like a roadmap or so. Yeah. So
how do you stay like this is always what's the most fascinating thing in the world to me. Like it's really hard for me to stay on pitch. Like I am not a trained singer at all. And especially if you're hearing things in the mic, in your earpiece.
In the IEM, in-ear monitor.
In-ear monitor. Thank you.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. So how did you train yourself to be able to sing on stage with that in your ear, like going from college to working professionally?
I think we're still like training ourselves because it's hard because every theater's different, every sound technician's different, every monitor mix is different. So unless you're in the same theater night after night, it's a different experience. So you're always kind of tweaking things. But it protects your hearing in the long run, I think, because I think all that loud rock and roll and loud music night after night can kind of wear on your hearing. So what it does is you kind of just, instead of the monitors on the floor that you would hear all that blasting at you, you kind of get rid of that, and it's kind of controlled in your ear monitor, and you have a little pack on your hip, and you kind of adjust the volume and at sound check. Okay. Yeah, at sound check, you kind of tell the guy off to the side. Right. And you're like, can I get a little bit less guitar, a little less of the guys, and put me a little bit higher so I get like kind of a mix, and then you kind of just tweak the volume at that point. So
how often do you have to remold your inner ear monitor to your ear?
Well, they're pretty, not too often because it's a pretty expensive investment, so you really take care of those things. So
so I can't hit his beats in my ear. I don't know.
Oh man,
there's a pit video of this guy playing in a regional production, but like out of the country, of Mamma Mia. This guy's playing the drums, and his inner ear monitors, they keep falling. And it's
Never.
just so
Yeah.
you always see like on like TV when those contests on like NBC or like the New Year's Eve or Christmas, you always see the singers going like, because when I was growing up,
on Idol.
when we were growing up, we would always see those videos of like artists going like this, and like, why are they going like this? But really they're adjusting their inner ear monitor because they can't fucking hear anything. But
Right. It's always like that Mariah Carey. She has like she would like go like this. It's like, no, she's trying to get.
She's trying to hear.
Yeah. Well, a lot of time too, when you do that, you're kind of, because when you have them jammed in your ear, you don't really have that kind of ambient sound, which it's kind of like a comforting kind of feeling, because you want to hear that, right? Sometimes when you're in your own world, it's so hard to hear what's going on around you. So depending on the song, sometimes I take an ear out a little bit, and depends. Yeah. What
are some of the favorite houses that you've played in?
My favorite place with Frankie, it was the first time we played Royal Albert Hall. That was 2012, right? And here's a great story. So we're it's like a big story, but I'll tell you this one. This is great. So our first time we're playing Royal Albert Hall, we were there for I think like 2 nights. I've played there 3 times with him over the years, but the very first time I'll never forget. The first show, it was just magical. You walk out into this legendary hall, and it's just like it's unreal just to look up and see everything. And it was just a beautiful concert. First time we've had, I was in the UK. First time I've ever been to London was that tour. And to see the people, it's a different vibe than like seeing, being in a concert with Frankie in the States. Like when we do Can't Take My Eyes Off You, like da da da, the whole audience sings that, right? It's like, I swear it's like a UK thing. So on the top of their lungs, we're just like, oh my God, yeah. And so we get out, and the show's beautiful, great. We come off stage, like I'm in tears. Like I'm like, what the heck? And it's that whole, let's go back to that butterfly feeling, right? The nerves, but it was like a good feeling. It was like a rush. And I look over, Frankie's in tears. He's in tears. And we're just like, he hugs all of us. Like, it was like one of those moments where, man, I thank you, Frankie. I mean, I love you. I love you guys. It was like one of those moments that I'll cherish with me forever. And so that's probably my favorite place I've ever played. Night 2 happens, right? We get there. I think it's night 2. Our tour manager says, hey, especially to the guitar players, he's like, I don't want to make anybody nervous, but Jimmy Page is in the audience tonight. So, have fun. So that was a fun tour. But yeah, so that's my favorite. And then playing Broadway with Frankie, 2 stints was incredible. And there's so many. I can't even. I mean, Australia, that was probably like right up there too. Yeah.
Gosh, what a career.
Like our challenge is like, okay, we're the Modern Gentlemen now, and like that's our thing. I think when we go and try to do our shows, it's like getting people to know, like kind of associate. It's almost like educating the audience, like, oh, you were those guys. If you've seen Frankie anywhere over the past 15 years, you've seen the 4 of us, and that's kind of what we're hoping to get across, is our thing. So, but yeah, anyway, I ramble.
That sounds possibly frustrating, like, do you ever have those moments inside where you're just like, do you know who I am?
No, I mean, not like that, but it's like, because, inevitably people come to our show and they're like, oh man, this is the best time I've ever had. I've had a wonderful time. I wish I would have known more about this and you guys, and I could have promoted it better. And that's kind of our thing, just with anything, is just the marketing and kind of getting out there. So, these interviews are very helpful for us, and especially to our Jersey Boys family. Of course. And so many people that, know us, but don't, maybe there's people out there that don't know that we have a group. It's global. It's a huge thing that we were so fortunate to kind of ride that wave with Frankie, and see that whole thing going from these small venues to selling out Broadway. And it's crazy. So, yeah.
So we're here to bridge that gap for you, because, or at least to help with it, because we understand how the marketing would work. It is a good problem to have, though. At least at the end, you're like, oh my God, I wish I could have done more. So they'll do more the next time, which like almost can guarantee it next time, I would hope.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just got to work hard. So,
can you tell us a little bit about the Christmas album you have coming up?
Yeah, so we had this project that we wanted to do, that these songwriters came to us, and they wanted to help us kind of kind of take that next step in our career too, which is like doing some original songs. So we were put together with these guys out of Nashville, amazing, like multi-award-winning songwriters that written songs for so many legendary artists. So they wrote us like 3 songs, right? And we were starting to work on this project. We recorded everything, and then COVID happened. And so it was just like, oh God. So, but what we did during that time is we kind of just kept working on it, and we were able to release it last year. And it's something we're really proud of, especially the original songs. It's the first time we've recorded original music. And so we have 3 songs on there, kind of mixed with 7 holiday favorites, like everything from that Manhattan transfer version of Happy Holiday to like kind of like a Michael Bublé-ish vibe on certain things, where we all sing solos, all sing leads. You have a little bit of everything. And then the original songs, of course, which it's just something that we really take a lot of pride in, I think. So that's kind of the next thing that we really want to start doing.
So you make it feel like Christmas. That's the album.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the album.
Yeah.
Guys, with the deluxe version, if you're listening, the deluxe version, you get to sing along to the instrumental versions. Okay, so get the
True.
album,
Get
and
the
you know,
deluxe.
and sing
Yeah.
it at your next
Sing
karaoke party.
karaoke. Yeah.
Exactly. Sing it at
Christmas
your-
karaoke.
Christmas karaoke. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, well, we
Yeah.
love the album, and I think that's the
Thank
perfect
you.
way to put out a new album. I think for Christmas is to have a mix of the originals and the new, because everyone needs new stuff. You know, at the end of the day, we are in a new decade. You know, it's time to start fresh.
New decade.
And-
What? I forgot.
Oh
about that.
yeah.
Been in it for almost 2 years already.
forgot about that.
Yeah. so
Yeah.
I thank
Last
you
year
so
was
much.
kind of.
I
Yeah,
know.
please.
It's a whole thing.
It's like still 2019.
I'm
no.
stuck in
Kinda.
2014.
But I think this is a great place to wrap up.
Yes.
For everyone, this has been another episode of Silhouettes JB Podcast. Thank you so much to Brian Brigham from TMG, The Modern Gentleman, for being here. Go to themodernGentleman.net to find out everything, to find out where they're playing, to listen to their music, watch their videos, find them on YouTube at The Modern Gentleman, follow them on Facebook at The Modern Gentleman, find them on Instagram at The Modern Gentleman, and listen to them wherever you could find music, watch them wherever you can find videos. We are Silhouettes JB Podcast. Find us anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Find us on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe,
Please.
share, please. Find
you.
us on Instagram at Silhouettes JB Podcast _.
Yes.
Find us on Facebook, Silhouettes JB Podcast. Find us on our Facebook group, Silhouettes JB Podcast Group.
Mhm.
And
And we will be linking all of the Modern Gentleman's information on our link tree too.
tree.
So they're touring all next year. Find a date, make a trip. Definitely go see them. Hopefully that we'll be seeing them
Guys,
live too.
do it. And
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah.
salute.
Salute. Yes.
Yeah.
our sign-off.
I got water. It's bad.
Oh, so do we.
No,
So do we.
perfect.